G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, the Chiefs' capitulation has ended this week with the return of the Isuzu D-Max. Damian Mckenzie, and that was actually a really good second half performance by the Chiefs tonight. The game actually started off almost looking at like the Chiefs ended how they ended last week with capitulation. Despite Damian Mckenzie was on the field, Crusaders was overwhelmingly dominant, not taking their time building pressure, not taking easy 3 points, whereas the Chiefs were getting a bit of mental barrier, almost bit of fear that looked like they crept in from last week. They were, struggling to build momentum, always looking at trying to take some easy points. And really wasn't looking like they were going to win this one at all in the first half. But after half time, I think the players had a chat in the change room and, said that, hey, we're going to mentally break ourselves out of this situation. And sure enough, the Chiefs put on an absolute clinical second half and blow the Crusaders away. And the second half, it wasn't even close. The Crusaders they swung for the fences, and it was like just running into brick walls all day. And the Chiefs' defense, the physicality, and just mentally, the Chiefs got themselves into that rhythm that they're used to. And much better performance. They just kicked some penalty goals as well in the second half. Probably could have been a bit more ruthless, but overall, that is the style of the Chiefs that they like to play. Like the reason, in my opinion, that they kick penalty goals because they're big, monstrous forwards. Gets a little bit of a break to recharge that battery to stop pounding you again after that little bit of breather. It's a rhythm thing that the Chiefs like to play. They like to start and go, and that's how they get the most value out of their big forward pack. With players like Somasoni Talkiaho, with players like Luke Jacobson, and with the big return of Wallace Satiti, and all of these players are really good with short bursts, and the way that Chiefs likes to control that start and stop with some goal kicking, with their kicking game as well, is to give some of their forwards more opportunities to get that explosiveness when they do get themselves into action. And I think and that really worked for the Chiefs, especially in the second half. And let's talk about the Isuzu D-Mac. He had a few weeks off. He had a pretty shocking performance against the Waratahs a few weeks ago, and I think it was said that he had a finger injury. So he had a couple weeks off from the finger injury, and he is back this week looking much better, to be honest. There was more energy from him. He was able to identify space, making sharp, quick decisions to switch point of attack, and leading into he scored a try as well, a bit of a try like that. And it's just again, sometimes the players do get a little bit mentally bogged down after weeks and weeks of grinding in the Super Rugby competition, and you just do need to take away a little bit, and suddenly your mind is freshened up, you relaxed up a little bit, and then when you're on the field after a bit of a break, you start to see opportunities that you kind of starting to overlook when you're bogged down and when you're worn out and burnt out, rather, not worn out, probably burnt out. So a lot of that burnt out that we saw from D-Mac was gone this week. It was looking sharp. It was smiling again with his goal kicking, which is really good. Whenever Damian Mckenzie smiles when he kicks the goals, I smile a little bit. So I think it's pretty cheeky, and and he actually lost a bit of his smile. A couple weeks ago when he was playing. So really good to see that the Chiefs are able to find Damian Mckenzie back as well into the fold. And I think that in the end, in combination with the two things, mentally the Chiefs breaking out of that capitulation from the first half, and in the second half, Damian Mckenzie taking more of a leadership role, and then a lot of their forwards just belted the Crusaders with really good defense. And the Crusaders rush defense was probably the main difference between the two sides in the second half was the rush defense. That's the difference between Chiefs winning, the rush of the defense, catching the Crusaders behind the advantage line. And then if they can shut down the pass behind the advantage line, they can also get that forward momentum to quickly get over the breakdown and get the turnovers as well, which they found a lot of success. Whereas when the Crusaders were defending, they were just standing in a line, and there was no Sevu Reece aside. Only person that was really doing the rush defense was Sevu Reece. There was really no rush defense from any of their, their loose forwards. A lot of these rush defense comes from, your locks. Sorry, not your locks. Your flankers, the kind of, or your number 8 kind of push up a little bit and then shut down like immediately where the 12 will be. None of that was happening for the Crusaders. It was just like the forwards moving up the line, and the Chiefs essentially was able to shift the ball out wide. D-Mac, get his players around him, was able to basically run into the defensive line at full speed with wide angles to work with. And it's just, it wasn't looking good. And the Crusader just gets pummeled behind that advantage line over and over and over again. And then once they get over the advantage line by going wide, their forwards floods in, pick and go, and starts to pounce over through in the short areas as well. And suddenly you're right in front of your try line, and then the Damian Mckenzie can do pretty much whatever he wants to get the player to cross that final little bit of a gap for the try. And yeah, it is pretty brutal performance in the second half of the Chiefs, and I think the Crusaders. The defense is something that they really need to work on. The rush defense. I'm not saying that people were like missing tackles left and right. It's the ability for the players to shut down the opposition before the advantage line, and they're just not doing that at all. This game for the Crusaders. I think that's the reason, really the big reason that they lost. I think the kicking game as well. The Chiefs are a little bit more accurate. The Crusaders are kind of, especially in the second half, kind of got caught in the mode of, do we want to play this kicking game against the Chiefs? The indecisiveness there, but overall, I think the big difference was the defense and the physicality around the breakdown that the Chiefs was able to follow up in those big moments. So let's move on to the match stats of the game. 3 tries to 4, 268 run meters for the Crusaders, the Chiefs 439. 13 turnovers conceded for the Crusaders, 18 against the Chiefs. So overwhelming attacking, and there were some errors as well for the Chiefs. But overall, this was just, I think that is probably the one thing the Chiefs can work on is execution. There was actually a lot of knock-ons and little errors here and there and breaking up their own consistency, whereas the Crusaders just really wasn't able to build nearly as much forward momentum as the Chiefs had done the whole game. 218 tackles made for the Crusaders, 17 missed tackles. The Chiefs, 129 tackles made, 19 missed tackles. So overall, the Crusaders defense is not that bad. 17 missed tackles out of 218 is actually like below 10%. It's actually pretty good even for international test teams. 29 kicks in play for the Crusaders, 1 missed conversion, 31 kicks in play for the Chiefs. A couple missed conversions for the players on the field with a lot more kicks in play. I think D-Mac two misses out of 8. 766 kick meters for the Crusaders, 874 for the Chiefs. They didn't really have to do that much to win the kicking game, and they just did enough to get themselves in the right areas. The lineouts, 10 out of 3 for the Crusaders, 1 out of 16 for the Chiefs as well. And especially considering you've got Scotty Barrett in the Crusaders side, it really shouldn't be losing 30% of your lineouts. Another thing that they need to kind of polish up a little bit on as well, the Crusaders. The overall, I think the forward half of the Crusaders is looking very disconnected. Not just very disconnected especially in the second half. 5 scrums apiece for the Crusaders. The thing with the Crusaders, I think the 4-pack, I just want to touch that a little bit. It almost looked like, it's like an arm wrestle. Right, at start they look really good, and everybody's kind of holding the place. And once you start losing, it just starts losing and just fall apart really quickly. That's kind of like what the Crusaders 4-packs are looking like. They start to fall apart a little bit, and then it just gets and everything, all the little things starts to fall apart. They stop rushing up in defense and stop working hard around the rocks, and everybody's letting the ball runner running into them, and then they're going backwards in defense. Not shutting down the advantage line. That sort of thing just starts to build on them throughout the game. 12 penalties considered. Another thing. The Crusaders, a lot of penalties given out, back-to-back penalties, and the Chiefs just love that start-stop style. And 12 penalties considered for the Crusaders, 6 against the Chiefs. So much better in terms of that. In terms of the discipline there for the Chiefs as well. So 4 tries for the Chiefs and then lots of penalties as well. Pretty convincing win over the Crusaders overall. So the game started actually with 7 minutes into the game. The Crusaders actually got themselves on the board first. There was a penalty that went for the maul, lots of crash balls, lots of pick and goes, and eventually there was a short ball to Finlay Christie out wide into the corner. Dunks in 7 points to nil. 35 minutes of the game. There was not a penalty to the Crusaders. They went for the more. And again, building pressure, crash. Again, this was looking pretty good for the Crusaders. And, you know, Scotty Barrett got himself kind of tackled probably about 2 meters short. But because Scotty is about 2.5 meters long, he reached out and dunked the ball in. All right, this was like the longest reach I've ever seen ever. Right, because Scotty Barrett somehow reached in for the try. 12 points to nil. And then 37 minutes into the game, 34 minutes again, the Chiefs looking like they're going to capitulate, kick 3 points. I was like, oh boy, that's not a good mentality. And 37 minutes in, sure enough, the Crusaders, again, pounding. They had the penalties, didn't go for the 3, just rolling in forwards from the line out. And then Xiaofun gets the short ball crashed over for the try. 19 points to 3, and it's going into halftime looking like the Crusaders going to blow the Chiefs out of the water, and the Chiefs going to probably come out, start kicking penalty goals and try to catch up for the deficit. But no, the Chiefs actually got themselves in the right headspace just before halftime. They had a penalty. Damian Mckenzie kicked this one out for 5-meter line out. The ball kind of went wide to the left, come back to the right, and then Stevenson throws the ball over, got tackled, probably could have gone to himself, throws the ball over the top, because the ball got like knocked down by several Reese, and Narua got the bounce and dunked the ball down for the try. 19 points, 11 halftime, kind of like settled down the nerves a little bit for the Chiefs after a pretty one-sided affair for the Crusaders. Second half, the Chiefs gets himself out 3 minutes in with a penalty, went for the line out, and then immediately kind of like crashed midfield and switched back to the shore side. D-Mac made a quick call for a switch, and then he just ran, you know, him, his back, just quickly signing around back to the shore side, and he got the short pass for the try. 19 points to 17, 47 minutes in. Havili from the Crusaders tried to do a stupid grubber kick and got blocked, and then the ball was scooped up by Leroy Carter, who ran 75 meters with his huge legs, pumping through for the try. 19 points to 12. 47 minutes into the game. After this, the Crusaders were giving out silly penalties left and right. 2 penalty goals were kicked, 57 to 61 minutes, putting the Chiefs further ahead, 28 points to 19. Just before full time, 73 minutes on the clock. Again, the Chiefs had a penalty. They're piling through, and then Wallace Satiti gets the short ball crashed over for the try. And yeah, Crusaders just every time at this point you can see it. The Crusaders defense not fronting up. They're just going backwards every time the Chiefs crash the ball. Every time the Chiefs pick the ball and go, and it was just no one's shutting down fronting up to shut down the ball carrier before the advantage on, and no one is trying to slow the ball down around the rucks, around the breakdowns. So yeah, quick win, quick tries, and Chiefs completely blown the Crusaders out of the water in the second half for the win. 35 points to 19. Let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys a bit later for more reviews. Cheers.